Well, in our previous movies, we've learned how to import media, ingest media from a camera, organize our media. Now we're getting ready to actually edit our show. And the first thing you'll need to do is create a project. Well, in Final Cut, there's always 3 or 4 ways to do everything. And of course, to create a new project, there's 3 or 4 ways to do that also. One of the simplest ways is to go up under the File menu, click on File and Create New Project. Or as you can see, the keyboard shortcut, Command-N. If you want, you can right-click anywhere in the project library and create a new project, or simply go down to the very bottom of the screen and press the plus button. Go ahead, create a new project anywhere you want, and you'll see this dialog box. Now, this is a very simple dialog box, but it's very important, and I'm going to go down the list and tell you what everything means. Well, of course, name. Give the project a name that you want. In this case, we're going to be calling it First Edit. Now, the next pull-down window is our default event. And we learned about events in earlier movies, so when you ingest media, Final Cut can tell the operating system where you want that media stored, on your internal hard drive, on your external hard drive, and specifically in what event. Now, of course, you can always change your event when you ingest media. Now, the next choice is setting your video properties. Now, you'll probably want to leave it on the first option, which is set automatically based on the first video clip. What this means is that the first clip you drag into an empty timeline will convert the timeline to work with the specific size and frame rate for that media. So if you drop a high-definition clip into your timeline, you instantly get a high-definition timeline. If you drop a standard definition stereo clip in, it's a stereo timeline. Once you drop the first clip in, all the other clip will match the timeline's video properties. If you want, you can also create custom video properties. The first pull down says, am I doing this in high definition, and whether I'm doing it in 1080 progressive or 1080 interlaced, 720, NTSC, or maybe if you're working in Europe or Australia, you might be doing PAL. Please take note that Final Cut Pro 10 can edit video all the way up to 4K in size. The next drop-down reflects what you selected in the first drop-down. So if you choose standard definition, you're only going to get some 720 by 480 or 720 by 486 choices. If I had chosen high def, you'll notice you have different frame sizes. And of course, the last drop-down box lets you choose how many frames per second. Now, for some of you, this is very complex and it's a lot of jargon. If you know the format you shot in, or you know the format that you need to deliver your final program in, you can go to Custom and choose your settings. Otherwise, for now, I would stick with Set Automatically based on the first video clip. The next choice is Audio and Render Properties. Here you can use the default settings or you can create a custom. In this case, I do recommend switching from the default settings because most people, when they're getting started with Final Cut Pro 10, are not editing surround sound. So if you click on Custom, the only thing you'll need to change is go from surround sound to stereo. Leave your audio sample rate at 48 kilohertz, which is pretty much the standard in the video industry, and your render format should stay at Apple ProRes 422. In most cases, you don't need that extra file size and extra quality of ProRes 422 HQ because your original video format isn't that high quality anyway, and you'll just be taking up extra hard drive space. And ProRes 4x4, well, you'll only use that if you need to do special graphics or things with transparency information. Once you've made your selections, simply hit OK. Now, as soon as you've made your new project, you'll notice that the project library has slid off to the left, so you can actually start editing. I do want to point out a couple more things that you can do in changing your project, so let's go back and step into the project library by clicking on the film canister or simply pressing Command 0. Here is our project library. If I wanted to modify any parameter with this, I need to go over to my inspector. We've looked at the inspector in earlier movies. Simply press the keyboard shortcut, Command 4. Now, if you open the inspector with any one of your projects selected, you'll see detailed information about that project. You'll see its size setting, whether it's stereo or surround, the date it was last modified, and if I had placed video clips into this, it would show me the event libraries where those clips are from. But this is the important button that I want you to look at. It allows you to modify the project's properties. If you click on this wrench, you'll see pretty much that same drop-down box that you saw earlier, And I can go ahead and change the name of my project. I can even change the default event and all the other parameters that I selected. In this case, we like the way things are, and we're going to simply hit OK. If you just want to change the name of a project, you can, of course, click on its name and change it. So instead of First Edit, we're going to just title this Practice. Type in Practice and simply hit Enter. Now, I want to point out something new in Final Cut 10 that you may not be used to when working with other applications. And that is, you don't ever have to save. You've probably trained yourself to hit Command-S every time you've done something you've liked. Well, Final Cut Pro 10 is continuously saving your project. So if for some reason your machine shuts down, the cat walks over the cord and pulls it out, or there's a power failure, when you restart the program, you're in the exact location it was when the machine turned off. Finally, I want to tell you how to remove a project that you may not want anymore. And that's as simple as right-clicking on any project and simply say, Move Project to Trash. Go ahead, you can move this project to trash because in the next movie, we already have a project set up for you to start with. As you see, creating a project is pretty easy, but there are a few choices to make. The defaults are pretty good, and other than surround sound to stereo, I'd stick with the defaults.